The Chosen Season 4 is in theaters as we speak, therefore, I have complete freedom to talk about anything that I want to that happened in Season 4, Episodes 1 through 3. All bets are off. I don't have to hold back on anything. With that said, if you have not seen The Chosen Season 4, Episodes 1 through 3 in theaters yet, first of all, I would recommend you go ahead and purchase those tickets, go out to your local theater, go see it on the big screen with all of your fellow Chosen fans. I promise you it is worth it. It is a great, fantastic experience, and I highly recommend you go check out those episodes. However, if you haven't seen the episodes, or if you don't have a theater near you or the means to go to the theater and see the episodes, I would recommend you click off this video, but I can't force you to do anything. We've all read the book anyway, so you're more than welcome to stay, but just keep in mind that in this video, I'm going to be saying tons of spoiler content about The Chosen Season 4, Episodes 1 through 3. So, with that said, let's go ahead and roll that intro. Hello everybody, my name is Eli Hollingsworth and welcome back to Against the Current, a The Chosen podcast, where today we're talking about Matthew and Peter. In Season 4, Episode 2, Matthew and Peter made up, they became buddies again, and they solved some problems that have been between them in their relationship since Season 1. We're all happy to see them getting along and being friends now, but it took a long time to get to this point. Why did it take so long? Well, today we're going to discuss the differences between Matthew and Peter, their specific relationship, why it's so important that they become best friends, and that they make up here in The Chosen Season 4, Episode 2. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Now, obviously, we don't have in the Bible that Matthew and Peter were specifically against each other. Of course, it is plausible, and it does make sense that Peter would have a specific grudge against Matthew since he was a tax collector, and as we learn in the Bible, the Jews hated the tax collectors because they basically turned their back on their people. So Peter is, a bit frustrated with Matthew. That makes sense, that's plausible, and that's what The Chosen does so well, as they make these plausible, extra-biblical moments that don't exactly happen in the Bible, but are very possible that they could have happened. And The Chosen used this to tie in a famous Bible passage, which comes from Matthew 18. Matthew 18, starting with verse 21, reads, "Then Peter came up and said to him, 'Lord, how often will my brother sin against me, and I forgive him? As many as 7 times?' Jesus said to him, 'I do not say to you 7 times, but 77 times.'" Now, we were all maybe kind of thinking that Simon would have been referring to Andrew, his blood brother here, but in The Chosen, they decided to portray it as his found family brother Matthew, who is included in the 12, so Peter was having a grudge against him. And it is a cool detail because they had it be recorded in the book of Matthew, which means Matthew wrote this book, and he included this segment about Jesus telling Peter to forgive Matthew. The other interesting part of this is that Jesus told Matthew to ask for forgiveness from Peter because he did wrong Peter, and he made some mistakes himself, so he had to be the one to ask for forgiveness. And as we see in the show, Peter at first did not want to give him forgiveness, but after he came to Jesus told him this verse, then Peter was willing to forgive Matthew. And after this, of course, in the book of Matthew, Jesus gives the parable of the unforgiving servant who owed 10,000 talents. Then he went to another servant who owed him much less money and got very upset with him. And it's a parable that Jesus told, so I don't think we're going to see that in The Chosen. But we did see the personification of it here with Matthew and Peter's little grudge relationship. But why are Matthew and Peter so mad at each other? We all know that back in Season 1, all the things that Matthew did to Peter, Matthew was tasked by Quintus to spy on Peter to make sure that he wasn't being dishonest or disloyal with the amount that he owed to Quintus. And Simon and Matthew are not exactly that different because Simon betrayed his fellow fishermen for money by willing to do the job for Quintus, whereas Matthew turned his back on his entire Jewish family to work for the Romans so he could get himself more money. But if we look at this, both Simon and Matthew have a very interesting relationship because they are very similar. Both of them do not have a father. Well, at least in the beginning of Seasons 1 and 2, Matthew did not have a father because his father said, "I have no son," after Matthew became a tax collector, as portrayed in The Chosen. And we learn from Peter and Andrew's conversations, they were close with their father, but they don't really talk to him. And we don't really know what happened to Jonah, their father. We're going to hear more about that in a later episode in Season 4, so it'll be interesting to see how much they decide to dive into Simon and Andrew's relationship with their father because they learned to fish from him, but obviously, as we see in the show, he's really nowhere to be found. So, both Simon and Matthew don't really have a father, but at the beginning of Season 3, Matthew makes up with his father by asking for forgiveness, which is something that Matthew has to learn to do in the show. That's how he grows and progresses as a character, and therefore he makes up with his father. Now, Simon has a wife. He has Eden, and Matthew seems to be pretty interested in Mary, but I don't think we're going to see them ever get together or get specifically married. So maybe Matthew's a little jealous of Peter. Maybe Peter's a little jealous of Matthew because Matthew now has a close relationship with his father. But, as I said before, they're both really not all that different. They both make mistakes. Simon has a big temper, He has a lot of anger. He has a big-headedness, and he has a stubbornness. Matthew looks at things very analytically. He takes a step back and is able to assess situations and look at the numbers and make calculated decisions based on the circumstance. They're both different in that way, but they both turn their backs on their people in a different way. And Simon, who has really had one brother to stick to for his entire life, Andrew, after seeing his father desert him, he really doesn't understand why anyone would betray their Jewish faith, because they're all in it together in his mind, going against the Romans and being under the oppressive nature of the Roman Empire. So how could someone like Matthew turn his back on their people? And he doesn't fully understand Matthew's situation. Matthew made some mistakes for sure, but he was put in a difficult situation with his father. Matthew also, as portrayed in the show, does have autism or is on the spectrum somehow, so therefore he doesn't maybe exactly make the best decisions or in the same way that Peter would, but also Peter has different decisions to make too. And as we see in season 4, episode 2, Peter gets called from Simon to Peter. Now he is the leader of the group. Matthew doesn't quite understand this, and that's what sparks him to ask Jesus, and when Jesus tells Matthew to ask for forgiveness. So the relationship between Simon and Matthew in the show is very interesting. It'll be fun to see how their relationship evolves and grows throughout the season and throughout the show to where they become best buds. Obviously, we want them to get together. Not to get together, sorry. Well, we want them to make up. We want them to be friends. We want them to be friendly to each other because we don't like it when they are upset with each other because they have no reason to be. They're both called by Jesus, and when Peter sees that Jesus calls Matthew in season 1, episode 7, and he says, "Do you have any idea what he's done?" Peter doesn't fully understand how much he has done as well. And now that we're seeing Simon and Matthew make up, it is very cool to see them finally be united under Jesus, because Jesus calls everybody from all walks of life, even Matthew the tax collector or Peter the fisherman, who have both done their own wrongs and made their own mistakes, even if both of them don't exactly see that all the time. And now they're friends, and Peter forgave Matthew at the end of season 4, episode 2. So now we can move ahead with friendship and loyalty and trust, which is what we love to see from The Chosen. And we love to see it when characters are nice to each other, right? We don't like to see them upset. So there's kind of the rundown of Peter and Matthew's relationship, and now we're ready to see where this leads. I can't wait to see more of this in The Chosen season 4. It's going to be pretty awesome. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, because I'm going to be coming out with a video every single day this week about The Chosen season 4. So be sure to stay tuned for that. And turn on all notifications so you don't miss a single video that I post. Also, link down below in the description, listen to my podcast, where I have a review of season 4, episodes 1, 2, and 3. My reviews of all 3 episodes are out right now. And of course, I'm going to be talking about the season as it progresses, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Be sure to check out all that good stuff. And I will see you guys in my next video. Binge Jesus.